already know that Swifties are rivaling QAnon conspiracy theorists with how much they investigate Easter eggs that Taylor Swift supposedly gives them. And this one is a New York Times opinion writer. Her name is Anna Marks, and she wrote an article titled "Look What We Made Taylor Swift Do." It's 5,000 words long. It's actually insane that I read the whole thing and I was wondering the whole time, like, someone actually got paid to write this? So her entire point is that Taylor Swift is actually a closeted lesbian or bisexual, and she's been dropping Easter eggs or hairpins here and there in her art and in her public presence.
Wait, what the hell is it? Is a hairpin just like an Easter egg?
I've never heard of that. I guess so.
Dropping hairpins? Yeah.
I'm
to
too
hint
old.
to all of the queer fans of hers that she's one of them. And it's so obvious. It's right under our noses. Here's a
How
quote.
is this not How is this not like QAnon level conspiracy theories?
It is. They're queer and on.
How is this not the
They
same
want her
level
to be a
of-
lesbian so bad.
This is a queer and on
This
conspiracy
is as weird
theory.
as the people who constantly tell me every single day that Donald Trump has this insane 9,000 piece chessboard, you know, where he's saying eighth dimensional chests. Like, just no, right? Like, you're seeing things that aren't there.
Yeah, they're literally schizophrenic.
Yeah.
Here's a quote. Whether she is conscious of it or not, Taylor Swift signals to queer people in the language we use to communicate with one another, what, they're aliens or something, that she has an affinity for queer identity. And her whole premise is that Taylor Swift is not free to come out as gay because we still live in a patriarchy, and the whole way that she markets herself is appealing to male power because all of her songs are supposedly written about falling in love with men or getting revenge on men. But she's analyzing all of these lyrics and all of her album art, trying to see the hidden meaning.
One of the
that
problems
she's
with
trying
this-
to tell the public that she's gay, but she just can't say it out loud.
One of the problems
Her
with
career
this
would end.
is people write what they know. So we did this story yesterday about this movie called Fitting In, about this story about this woman who has a narrow...
She has a genetic disorder. She's intersex, so that means she was born without a uterus, a cervix, or a vaginal canal.
So the
And
point,
she wrote a movie about it.
the point
This
being...
is a real person?
Yes.
Yeah.
The point being is that people write what they know. They write what they've experienced. The problem here is that they believe that Taylor Swift is only writing about her worldview because her worldview is not actually what it is. It's supposedly just like, conveniently, just like this lady's worldview, which is just the height of narcissism. All Taylor Swift is doing is what all of these other people do, which is write about what they know. The difference is what she knows and what she writes about is mass producible and interesting to more than just those inside her demographic.
Right, yeah. I mean, I guess that this writer, the opinion writer, is writing what she knows, and all she knows is identity politics.
Which is why it's interesting that they don't see the disconnect there. That all she's doing is exactly what you do, but you're just mad that you like her and her worldview isn't exactly your worldview.
Well, what Taylor Swift does is kind of messed up, though, because she's pandering to these people, right?
To queer people?
Yeah.
I mean...
Or like queer, I don't know if you call
she
it
bills
pandering,
herself as an ally
Right.
to queer people while being straight and cisgendered. So that's why she released that song, You Need to Calm Down. And then she supported this Equality Act. Well, if it says equality in it, it must be good. But never has she just come out and say that she ever identifies with that community, and she's explicitly said that she doesn't. But here's another quote. The writer mentions this country singer named Sheely Wright, who came out as gay, and I guess in the late 2000s in the country music realm, that was very stigmatized. You probably wouldn't have a lot of fans in the country music fan base for doing so because they lean conservative and religious. But she was quoted saying, "It's going to keep going," the hate she means, "until someone who has something to lose stands up and just says, 'I'm gay.' Somebody big. We need our heroes."
They
And
act
then
like
this
somebody
writer
big-
says, what if somebody had already tried at least once to change the culture by becoming such a hero? What if, because our culture had yet to come to terms with homophobia, it wasn't ready for her? And what if that hero's name was Taylor Allison Swift?
The inherent narcissism to imagine that all of this is just miraculously happens to revolve around your internalized struggle is insane.
Well, she needs Taylor Swift to be the avatar for her internal struggle and her civil rights struggle as a queer person.
I wonder if I could write my own version of this article that's like, what if the story of Taylor Swift is actually the story of a average-looking short man from Minnesota, and that's what the story actually is. What she's actually speaking to.
Whoever could that be?
If she's actually speaking about, like, what she's actually talking about in her songs is about me, is about my worldview, because it's all about me. I'm the most important thing. Therefore, this extremely important artist has to take up my cause. I think we could write that article, right? She's speaking on behalf of average-looking short people everywhere. Maybe not just in Minnesota, but average-looking short guys all over the planet. Do you see how ridiculous and stupid that sounds? Yes. It sounds just as stupid when you say it.
Yeah, I mean, this literally sounds like somebody who is in a psychotic episode who thinks that they have a relationship with a celebrity and they're dropping secret hints at them, like they actually know each other. And everything that Taylor Swift says is a secret message specifically targeted at her in her own secret language.
How is this not... Wait, does this make this far left conspiracy theories, I guess?
It is. Yeah. So after this article came out, it was met with a lot of pushback. And I just want to mention, Taylor Swift's fan base, the Swifties have a faction in it called the Gaylers, who actually do believe this. They believe that Taylor Swift is a closeted lesbian, and they will come up with any amount of evidence to prove that fact. But
Even
the
if
Gaylers,
it's not actual evidence.
Yeah. But the Gaylers are actually hated by the rest of the fan base for being delusional. And also they're doing exactly what Taylor Swift complains about, which is paying too much attention to her personal life and not enough attention to her artistry. But after this New York Times article came out, it was reported that Taylor Swift's associates are dismayed about a controversial NYT opinion piece that speculates the singer's sexuality. Here's the quote from the anonymous source. Because of her massive success, in this moment, there is a Taylor-shaped hole in people's ethics. This article wouldn't have been allowed to be written about Shawn Mendes or any male artist whose sexuality has been questioned by fans. I'm going to stop in the middle there. It actually has happened to male artists having their sexuality speculated on.
Happens to Harry Styles all the time.
In fact, Anna Marks, the same author, also wrote an article about Harry Styles in a similar way.
Yeah.
She titled it, "Harry Styles Walks a Fine Line. Is it really so inconceivable that one of the most famous people in the world could be trapped in the same closet as you or me?" This is something she does. This is her beat, is gay allegations. She's a journalist who cobbles together conspiracy theories about mainstream artists being closeted gay. So yeah, it's not about misogyny. It's just about her being a crazy person. This would happen and did happen to male artists plenty of times. And they continued, there seems to be no boundaries some journalists won't cross when writing about Taylor Swift, regardless of how invasive, untrue, and inappropriate it is, all under the protective veil of an opinion piece.
Well, it literally is an opinion piece. That's what it is.
It's her opinion. It's her hopes and dreams,
Yes.
really.
It's her dream piece.
Yeah.
I think she just has the hots for Taylor Swift and can't
Totally.
handle
This
the
is
fact that Taylor Swift is straight.
Yeah, it's a total fantasy. Like, she's like, oh, Taylor doesn't even know that she's a lesbian. She just has to meet me and she will realize that
I'm
she
Taylor
was a
Swift's
closeted
dream girl.
lesbian.
It is
Yeah.
weird to watch them kind of run headlong to this idea that for a lot of these artists, it seems especially prevalent in women in entertainment these days, that the majority of the things that they find interesting to talk about for their own art is their sexuality or gender, right? Which I think Tim brought this up the other day. It's like, why is it that like women, it's that old meme, it says like men only want one thing and it's disgusting. And then why are all the women comics talking about their vagina and their boyfriends and sex, and male comics don't seem to, on the whole, do that as much as women do? But like when they were talking about their like Taylor Swift's music and her sexuality, why does it have to? It's almost like people have fallen headlong into that trap about representation matters. Like it used to be that you could appreciate art for what it was, even if it didn't speak to your own personal experience. Now people don't know how to do that anymore. Like you should be able to, as a queer artist or as a gay artist or whatever, or a gay listener of her music, be able to take the greater idea of each of these songs about loss or relationship failure and still apply it to your own relationships, if that's what you want to do. If you want to use it as some type of guide to how you can identify with this person's art, the sexuality of the person shouldn't actually matter. It should be more about the overarching theme of the relationship. But it's like they have to have it dumbed down to the point where it has to be exactly like what they went through. Otherwise, it doesn't matter.
Like, think about all of the straight people that love at least Sam Smith's old music, his old love songs, which from the perspective of a gay man are about gay relationships. They would be none the wiser and they don't care.
Yep. There's a $20 super chat here from Dreamcast Knight said, LOL, Taylor Swift is Taylor Hanson. That's a meme from the old times.
Taylor Hanson?
I
thought Taylor Hanson has been here at Timcast before.
Is that true?
Yeah. I was on Alex Stein with him.
Yeah.
Is that the Taylor Hanson you're talking about? I don't know. You misspelled his name,
Are they
though.
talking about like from the band Hanson? Or is one of the brothers named Taylor?
Sure. But yeah, I agree that it is ridiculous for Taylor Swift to expect people not to pay attention to her love life and her personal relationships when all of her music is about that. It necessarily draws attention to her personal life. And with her level of celebrity, it comes with the territory. So I don't really sympathize when she cries about and whines about that.
Yeah, I don't feel bad at all. Do you guys remember, you may have been a little bit too young, but when Lady Gaga first became famous, like in 2008, everyone accused her of being a man. Do you remember that?
Really?
No.
Yeah. They talked about like whether or not she had like a penis.
Why?
Like openly, like, and I think they would ask her.
They're like, so
well, knowing Lady Gaga, she would like, probably be like, yes.
Oh yeah, she totally leaned into it because I don't know.
Like, so got dick?
Yeah, which I mean, like, especially back then, that was a little bit offensive. Like in hindsight, that's kind of messed up to be like, you kind of have man vibes. Do you have a penis?
Which
it's like, why
I don't think she does.
Genitalia? Yeah. So I don't feel bad that people are speculating about Taylor Swift's sexuality like at all. It's not
right.
It's not like a
I'm gonna call them crazy because they are crazy, but it's not like they deeply dehumanized her or something and they should be silenced for doing so.
Will you read some of these like quotes from the article about how it relates to patriarchy? It's insane.
Oh gosh, it's 5,000 words long, so it might take me a second to
there are some insane like passages from this article that make these insane claims that they're the type of thing where if you even ask the person a single follow-up question, if you're like, what exactly do you mean by that? They likely don't have an answer for you because they're just cobbling together buzzwords. And it's absolutely bonkers. But I wonder, like, how I guess it speaks to the strength of Taylor's ability to evoke from people that that they do feel that strongly about it. It's just that art has to be interpreted differently per person.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's people who have listened to so much Taylor Swift. Like, eventually, those lyrics and her influence does affect your psyche and your view of reality.
Well, it shouldn't.
It shouldn't, but like honestly, that's why I think she's like.
I mean, I used to talk about how like certain TV shows could affect my mood if I was watching them in blocks.
Yeah.
Like you watch enough of House in a row and it will make you a bit nihilistic and depressed about humanity.
All types of art can affect your mood
and
affect your emotions and affect your actions.
Yeah.
That's why I viscerally do not like Taylor Swift, because I think that overall her lyrics are like anti-male and like they're patriarchal in and of itself, or they promote this idea of like the patriarchy.
No, okay, that was one of the quotes. Maybe you can answer this one. You got that one?
Okay, so It says, there's such public devotion to the traditional narrative Taylor Swift embodies because American culture enshrines male power. In her sweeping essay, Compulsory Heterosexuality and Lesbian Existence by lesbian feminist poet Adrienne Rich, identified the way that male power cramps, hinders, or devalues women's creativity. All of the sexist undertones with which Taylor Swift's work can be discussed flow from compulsory heterosexuality or the way patriarchy draws power from the presumption that women naturally desire men. She must write about men she surely loves or be unbankable. She must marry and bear children or remain a child herself. She must look like, in her words, a sexy baby or be undesirable, a monster on the hill. A woman who loves women is most certainly a monster to a society that prizes male power.
Here's the problem with that. Everything that they just described is an effective marketing strategy to women, not to men. There may be patriarchal male executives who tell you this will actually be effective, but at the end of the day, you're not marketing these things to men. You're marketing these things to fellow women because it speaks to their world, their life experience, because it resonates with them. She is what Barbie was for movies. She is the proper marketing tool, and the reason why women are willing to spend money on her art and her music and going to buy her album 5 times over is because it implicitly speaks to their life experience through unique song structure, all of these things. The problem is it doesn't fit this writer's experience, which has nothing to do with patriarchy.
Well, I also think it's very insidious that she's framing this presumption that women naturally desire men as something that's a result of cultural conditioning rather than our biology and our spiritual design to be complementary with each other. Right. And that's really kind of the linchpin in all of gender and queer ideology anyway. But, you know, women do naturally desire men, and men naturally do desire women. Yep. As inconvenient as that truth is for some people. But I just want to mention that only months ago, when Taylor Swift was releasing her re-recorded version of the 1989 album, she published a prologue to it where she complained about this very issue that people speculate about what her sexuality is. So she said, "If only I hung out with my female friends, people couldn't sensationalize or sexualize that, right? I would learn later on that people could and people would." Women, so she is frustrated. Women could and women did. She is voicing her frustration with exactly this type of person that is looking for the Easter eggs about whether or not she is queer.
Well, this is her own fault because she loves including Easter eggs in her music and stuff like that. You don't get to speculate.
Oh yeah, I don't feel bad for her at all.
I wonder if it's affected her female relationships. Like if her close female friends are like, is this a hug or is this something more?
Yeah. I believe that Taylor Swift is asexual and that she has no interest in relationships or connection really, because she's just such a ruthless businesswoman.
She's just a bot.
She really is so concerned with her career and her public image that relationships really fall to the wayside.
Yeah.
I believe that more than she's like super into men, right?
Yeah.
Men are accessories to her.
Totally.
They serve her interests.
Yep.
I don't believe she's a lesbian because of that. That's definitely a stretch.
I find the ability to always bring it back to the vague accusation of patriarchy, which, like I said, any of those statements before, all you have to say is, what did you mean by that? What does that mean?
Could you elaborate?
She'll write another 5,000 word essay to explain exactly what she meant while explaining nothing.
Yes.
Because that's what all academics do.
Yes. It doesn't explain anything. It doesn't explain to me why the majority of the money that she makes comes from women but benefits men. What? I guess the music executive, she's known to be a ruthless businesswoman. Is she not the biggest beneficiary of her work? Not the patriarchy. I guess you could say that the biggest beneficiary is societal norms. Well, she nowadays seems to be the exception rather than the rule. The reason why I think they gravitate to her so much is because she is this last gasp of heterosexual Americana in a way that feels like, for the most part, you don't get a whole lot of these days, especially in an industry that's so obsessed with unique or at least minority race and gender, right? Like she is, for once, the majority speaking to the majority, and people don't feel like you get a whole lot of that now. So it's slim pickings if you want to talk about somebody
Right.
who does that. So
Yeah, so
like the rest of, think about who the others. We have Demi Lovato, Miley Cyrus, both are LGBTQIA, at least have said
Right.
so in the past. Taylor Swift is that last artist who's just, it's the same thing that said about Justin Bieber, right? That he might have been the last great pop
White,
star,
straight
white straight
male.
male pop
Yeah.
star who it doesn't have to be the Harry Styles, where he at least winks and nods to, minority race and gender constantly.
well, if Justin Bieber at his height came out as gay, yes, that would have hurt his career because his fan base was females who were attracted to him and had this fantasy of having a chance with him. Taylor Swift's career, insofar as she is successful because a lot of young women live vicariously through her glamorous lifestyle and her love life, yeah, it probably wouldn't be benefited by her coming out as gay.
No, I think it would have either actively hurt her or it wouldn't have done anything. But more than likely, to me, I think it would have actively hurt her because her oppressor versus oppressed Marxist songwriting style with men plays such a huge role in her appeal.
True.
that takes on an entirely new meaning if she is now gay or bisexual.
Although I do believe there's a short-term incentive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, absolutely.
She would be. It would be a supernova.
When I explained
Yeah.
when I was trying to explain how I felt about this to Mary earlier, I said she's actually bigger than these movements. Like
Yeah.
she goes to any of these, like Taylor Swift goes to any of these women's summits that I guarantee you, look it up right now. Is there a women's summit going on right now? She's the biggest person to go there. She is the most famous person to go there. The same would be true if she started going to GLAAD events or things like that. She is larger than the movement.
Yep.
So
I wonder if there is a women's summit going on.
I get
I'm
there's
sure.
like women's convention, women's summit, women's meetup. Like just look up women patting themselves on the back and see what comes up, and then dates.
2024 Global Summit of Women, Women in Tech Global Summit. That's happening in May.
Pat the plumber says, did Brett just call Biebs great? Yes, he was. Whatever you think of him as a musician, he was this last, really, really big, straight, white, male pop, teen sensation pop star.
This is so insane.
Yeah.
The Forbes Women's Summit happened 3 weeks ago. There is now starting in a week, the Gatherverse She Summit. It's another tech summit. The 2024 National Conference for Women is happening in March. The Women's Health Summit is happening in February.
I'm going to make my own. I'm just going to have my own. Who wants to come? You ladies want to come?
Financial Times Women in Business Summit 2024.
I'm
It's
sure
literally a never-ending list.
It's time, guys, for us to start having the men's summits.
It's
We
about
just need to-
time.
we need to get together and talk about how awesome we are and how the gynocentric longhouse that we now live in is holding us back.
Brett freely used the term longhouse. Score!
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.